From running a fund to running a company to running a country, numerous presidential candidates are hailing from business backgrounds, including Donald Trump. He calls himself a real estate tycoon. I asked the manager of the most profitable hedge fund in the world last year, Pershing Square's Bill Ackman, and real estate developer Howard Hughes CEO David Weinreb for their view on the Donald.
Well, he certainly had a success. He knows how to create a brand. Well, I think it's probably best to not comment on politics specifically. I think the notion of a businessman in the White House is something that is not new to the American people. I think it's something that could be great. I think Bill Ackman would be a good choice if we could ever get him to consider that, and it would be just a different approach. I mean, Bloomberg certainly did an amazing job while he was here. He reigned over a period of great economic expansion, and so I think there's a model there that's something that is appealing, and I think that that's what we hear the country saying when they're moving Trump's
So to you, there's
up.
actually an argument. It's not just an expression of collective frustration.
Well, I think it is expression of collective frustration. I think that the candidates that seem to have the most appeal are the ones that are the furthest removed from politics, and I think it's an outliers race. I'd rather support a successful business person who is, and again, I'm not pitching for Trump at this point. I'm a huge believer, though, in that the country probably should be run by a person who's run a major business over time and done it successfully, because I think the country is effectively a business, right? It's got real estate assets, it's got cash flow that it has to borrow money, it has to negotiate. All these kinds of skills are useful for ones that a business person has typically, and I think there's been a frustration with a politician's ability to manage what is one of the largest businesses in the world. So
David obviously just nominated you, but would you ever take either a run for it or take a cabinet position from the right candidate?
Someday anything's possible. I wouldn't write it off, but I got a lot to do with my day job for now.
David, I need to ask you the same. Taxation, we've heard it just keeps coming up. It's an issue that's important at the corporate level, and it's also targeting producers, income producers, revenue producers, and business builders. Is there any one candidate who has commented that you feel the most aligned with in that way?
Look, I'm all for fairness. Happy to pay my share of what's fair, and as I think Bill has spoken about at times when he's been interviewed on this topic. I'm not sure that there's only one way to get there, but I think it needs to be measured. And I think that this country is built on entrepreneurship and people and companies being able to succeed. And I think having a pro-business approach to the way that the country runs is an important thing for a candidate to think through, and I think that someone like that will bring new, fresh ideas to the table. And simplifying, I think, would be a great thing if we could simplify the code.
Right. Like, for example, I pay probably something in the neighborhood of 40 or 45% of my income to the government. I think it's high, but it's still within the realm of something that doesn't, I think, materially negatively affect incentives. I'm certainly, I'm not affected at all by that. I do think you can raise taxes to a level which has a big negative impact on growth, and where revenues actually shrink meaningfully. And I do think we're getting closer to those kind of levels. So I think that the question is, how do we, to David's point, simplify tax policy where we can drive growth, where the government takes a smaller share of a much bigger pie. I mean, that is their nirvana.
Dr. Carson has suggested 10% flat tax for everybody.
I don't know enough about the economics of how that works, but I think a more simplified system could go a very long way.